Good morning again, everyone. So today we are going to study your chapter 4 of your Hornbill textbook called Landscape of the Soul, which is written by Natalie Troveroy. So in this particular chapter, we are going to study about the valuability of art. When we say art, we are talking about paintings, drawings, and all this kind of art. So there can be lots and lots of different arts in human life, like singing, dancing, and all these kind of talents are also known as art. But in this particular chapter, we are going to talk about the art as paintings and drawings. So now in the first part of the chapter, there is a narration of a story about a painter named Wu Daozi. Wu Daozi is a very famous painter who lived in the 8th century in China, and he was a very famous painter. And because everyone praised his painting, and because he was a very famous painter, the emperor during that time was known as Emperor Xuanzong, and this emperor was the emperor of the Tang dynasty. And this emperor, he commissioned Wu Daozi to paint the whole palace wall. In his palace wall, he asked him to come and paint something on his palace wall. Now when Wu Daozi went there to paint something on the palace wall, what he did was he asked that a very huge screen would be put up near the wall where he is going to paint those pictures. So as he requested, they put up a very huge screen in order to let others not see his painting before he actually finished it. So he was hiding behind the screen and he was painting whatever he was painting, and then he was painting his the pictures without anyone seeing it, and he allowed only that people will see the painting. Even the emperor himself also will see the painting after he finished his painting. So after, for a long time, maybe months and months now, after he finally finished painting, he asked the emperor to come and see his painting first. So the emperor, when they took off the screen and when the paintings were seen, when the paintings could be seen, the emperor stood there and he was enjoying the very beautiful painting that was before him. And the painting consisted of a beautiful scenery. You could see all the mountains, the hills, and there are also people who are going up the hills. And you could see all this. It looks very realistic. And because of that, the emperor was in awe of the painting, and he was standing there and he was admiring the painting. He was looking at the painting very carefully, very intently. And he could see you could see all the paintings, the people working up the hill, walking up the hill, and also there were clouds in the sky. The birds were flying. The hills were green, and it was so beautiful. It was a very, very huge painting, which occupies the palace wall. And there are forests, high mountains. There was, waterfalls were there in the painting, and it was extremely beautiful. And while the emperor was enjoying all this painting, the painter Wu Daozi asked the emperor, "Sir, look here. There is a cave at the bottom of this hill. At the bottom of the mountain, there is a cave. And in this cave, they said that in this cave, it is known that there was a spirit living in this cave. There was a spirit who was living in this cave." And the painter, he clapped his hands, and then magically the entrance to the cave opened. From the painting, the entrance to the cave opened. And what happened was, again, the painter was telling the emperor, "Sir, the inside is very beautiful. It is magnificent. It is beautiful. And please come inside so that I can show you the way. I will show you the way to the inside of the cave. It is very beautiful inside. So let me show you the way." And then Wu Daozi went inside the painting into the cave that he mentioned, and as soon as he entered into the cave, magically, they said that magically all his paintings, along with the painter Wu Daozi, everything disappeared magically. And this is what this is a tale which was told in China. It is a Chinese version of this painter. The Chinese version does not mean to say that this is magic and whatever it is, but what they were trying to tell us is that is the artistic talent of this painter. And these kind of stories in China, it played a very important part in a child's education. And all this, they are talking about all this, what shall we say, the morality, the value that they wanted to impart on children's education. And what happened is this, the books of Confucius and Zhuangzi are all full of them, and they believe that these kind of stories help the master in disciplining the students, in disciplining the students and leading them into the right direction in life. So this is what they believed. Now there was also another story. The writer is saying, Natalie is saying, that there is a story in my native place in Flanders, and there was a story which says that a very talented artist was painting the picture of a dragon, and the picture of a dragon, he was painting the picture of a dragon. It looks very realistic. It was very huge and it looks very realistic, but the artist did not want to draw the picture of the eye of the dragon, And when people asked him why he did not draw the eye of the dragon, the artist replied that if I draw the eye, then it will come alive and then it will, fly away. So this is what he was telling the people, that he did not want to draw the eye because he was afraid that the dragon might fly away. It might come to life and then it will fly away. So in 15th century Antwerp is one of the cities in Belgium. In 15th century, there was a master blacksmith named Quentin Matsys. And this blacksmith, the meaning of blacksmith is that people who are working in making, what shall we say, steel and iron and steel. So during that time, the occupation, the art of being a blacksmith is not considered a very high, a very respectable occupation. So what happened is that this Quentin Matsys was a master blacksmith. He was his occupation was being a blacksmith, and there was another person who is a very talented artist, a very well-known artist. Artists were considered as, talented and respectable people in the society during that time. And then Quentin Matsys fell in love with a painter's daughter, an artist's daughter. And then what happened was that this painter, he did not like their relationship. He did not like Quentin Matsys because he was a lowly, he was a low blacksmith only, and he did not accept their love affair. He did not accept that his daughter will marry Quentin Matsys, so he does not allow their relationship at all. So in order to prove himself, Quentin Matsys, what he did was, one day, he went inside the studio of this painter when the painter was not at home. He went inside the painter's studio, and on the white canvas of the painter that the painter put there, he wrote the picture of a fly, a house fly. So he write it with such delicacy and realistic, and because of that he wrote it very carefully in order to make it as realistic as possible, a house fly. So he wrote it there, and after he wrote it, he went out of the studio. And what happened was that this painter, when he came inside the studio and he saw the fly on his blank canvas, he thought that it was a real fly, so he was trying to swat it away. But when the fly did not move an inch, he came nearer, he inspected, he looked at it carefully, and he suddenly realized that this is not a real fly, this is just a painting. So he asked about, and he came to know that Quentin Matsys was the one who was drawing this fly, the picture of that fly. So suddenly, not only the painter realized that Quentin Matsys was a very talented artist, and he approved of the marriage of his daughter with Quentin Matsys, and also he hired Quentin Matsys to be his apprentice in his studio. An apprentice means someone who is learning that particular trade, someone who is learning under the art under the master. So he took him not only as his son-in-law but as an apprentice in his studio. So these kind of stories represent the illusionistic likeness. I mean, all the hard work, the dedication, whatever talents that these artists were having could be seen in the realistic nature of their paintings. And now all these things, first we talk about China, and then we talk about, you know, Flanders, we talk about all this Belgium, Antwerp. So all these things represent the artistic side of artistic nature of the artists in Asia and also in Europe, and in the, you know, there is a huge difference between Western paintings and Asian paintings, Chinese, and all this. So in the Chinese story, the emperor commissions a painting and appreciate the painting. He could see from one by one, it was revealed to him one by one, but so he did not come to see the painting as a whole. He did not come to see the whole painting when he first looked at the painting, but instead he came to realize what that painting was, one by one, step by step, little by little. But what happened was that this is in Chinese version, they call this the Tao or the way. You know, let me show you when the writer Wu Daozi said, let me show you the way. This is known in China as, in Chinese, as Tao or the way, showing the way or the path or the method. So this is what Chinese paintings, Chinese landscape did not mean. It does not want to show the whole painting when the spectator or when the when people look at their work of art. They do not want the whole of their art being shown in one piece. So instead, they show them one by one, step by step, or little by little, and that is why they said that they use the horizontal scroll. I think you might realize that people in ancient Chinese, or they used to have this scroll. You know, scrolls are, you know, just pieces of paper which were rolled like this. So instead of once showing the whole painting like this, the Chinese, they wanted their scrolls be seen slowly, so that people could see what is written inside their scroll. So what they did is, you know, they opened this a little bit and then again a little bit, so that whatever they draw here, if there was a painting, whatever they draw here could be seen little by little, and finally the whole painting, the whole work of art could be seen by people. That is what they wanted. But instead, whereas Western paintings will show the whole picture at once, so that people can look at it and be wonderstruck by it, and they could see the meaning behind it, the symbol, the imagery, all these things could be seen. And the Chinese painter did not want like that. Now, this concept of the Chinese concept is known as shan shui, which literally means mountain water. Now, this mountain water, in English, they use it together as landscape. Landscape meaning the landscape, the whole painting, the painting how it looked. So these are two elements represented as one, and these two elements are you know, two elements of coming together, and these two elements are also known as the yin and the yang. If you might have seen, you know, if you see something like this, this is known as the yin and the yang. And what happened is, this is the Chinese concept of landscape. So they explained, the Chinese explained it like this: there is the yin and the yang, and this the black side in a circle, there are two counterparts. So the black part is known as the yin, and this yin is they believe that this yin represents the feminine aspect, the female side of the elements, and they believe that this represents the femininity, the earth. It represents the earth. It represents you know, it represents something that is fluid, that is cool, and that is you know, it represents darkness, it represents moisture, it represents you know, coolness, it represents, you know, the rivers and water and rivers. It represents all this. The yin represented that, whereas this the white side is known as the yang. So yang represents masculinity, the male version, the male elements. So this represents mountains, you know, mountains, hills. It represents, you know, strongness. It represents dryness. It represents all these you know, big mountains, hills, and all these things. It represents the masculinity, the muscular side, the male side, and the yin represents the female side. So this is what the Chinese believed in. But they believe that, again, one thing that they believe is the yin and the yang, and they believe that there is a middle part. There is a middle part between these two elements. They believe that there is a middle part which makes these two elements connect with each other. And so this middle part, they believe that this middle part is also the place where you know, people have a connection. This middle void, the middle part which cannot be seen, the middle part which is empty, they believe that this is where man finds, human beings also find a very important role. Human beings played a very important role. So they believe that this middle part is the element where heaven and earth have a connection with each other. Heaven and earth meets. So they believe that this is a very important part. This is a very important element, and this is also even Francois Cheng is saying that this is the eye of the landscape. So they believe that there is a middle part which is present here, which makes the two elements come together, which makes the two elements interact with each other, and they believe that this middle part is the most important part in all the elements of nature. So we have a very small excerpt here. At the bottom of your page, there you can see a very small article excerpt here, Getting Inside Outsider Art. Now, when the French painter Jean de Buffet mooted the concept of art brut in 1940s, the art of the untrained visionary was a minority interest. Now, what happened was in 1940s, there was a painter, a French painter named Jean de Buffet, and he promoted a thing called art brut, and this art brut means to explain art. Now, long before artists were considered an artist, I mean art was considered to be sophisticated, to be accepted in the society only when they draw a very beautiful piece of, you know, painters draw a very beautiful piece of a picture of this and that. But what happened is that this French painter, suddenly he came up with the notion called art brut in 1940s, and this also this is described as the art of those who have no right to be artists because they do not have any formal training. Now, in different parts of India also, you can find lots and lots of colleges where you can go and study art, like sculptures, paintings, drawings, all these things you can go and study, and you can have a degree with it. But what happened is, in 1940s, what the French painter Jean de Buffet said was that art brut means to accept all the people who does not have formal training like that, who does not have you know, education, which says that, who does not have degrees, which on papers which says that you are qualified to be, you know, painting this, you are qualified to be doing this and that in the art of paintings, drawings and all these things. But those who have talents, with the notion of art brut, if you have the talent to do all those things, you can come and you can show your work of art under this. And now in India also, there was a man who they said an untutored genius was creating a paradise. Now, there was a man who was collecting all the garbage that were thrown by people in the forest. He collected all this garbage, tins, plastics, and all these things. He collected them and he made them into beautiful sculptures. He constructed beautiful sculptures with all this garbage that people have thrown. Now, this person is known as Chant. He is now, you know, hailed as, he is now considered as one of India's best contributor in outsider art, in the work of art. He is already now more than 80 years old, and these the sculptures that he created, he put it in one place in the jungle, I mean in the forest, in the jungle, that he find all this garbage being thrown by people. He made them into sculptures, beautiful sculptures, men, women, young children, old, and all these kind of sculptures. He made it with them and he displayed there, and which is now known as, this place is now known as the Rock Garden of Chandigarh. It is at Chandigarh, and this is known as the Rock Garden as of now. And Chant is the one responsible for this. And also in the 5-month interactive show Realm of Chant, beginning October, will be held at leading museums in Switzerland, Belgium, France and Italy. The biggest reward is walking through the garden and seeing people enjoy my creation, Chant said. Now, the place where he constructed all these sculptures was now known as the Rock Garden of Chandigarh. It is preserved by the government of Chandigarh as well as the government of India. It is now a very recognized, a very famous place. Now it is not a jungle anymore, but these beautiful sculptures could be seen there. And Chant was commenting on this. He said that the most important and the biggest reward that I get, he had received many reward because of this, and he said that the biggest reward that I have received up to this day is that when I see people walk through these sculptures, and when people look at this, and when I see people were happy with it, when I see people were enjoying this, all this, all these things, all these beautiful sculptures that he created them, and he feel that that is the biggest reward. So with this, again, we have finished your chapter 4. Again, I'm going to ask you to read your textbook carefully. Please read your textbook, even if you do not have any notebooks or any guidebooks with you. If you read your textbook carefully, then it is going to help you a lot in your examinations. You don't need any guidebooks, you don't need any notebooks. If you read the textbooks and understand what is written there very carefully. So with that, I will say thank you, class. I hope we will meet again very soon.